if you're anything like me, you were maybe playing MX versus ATV Unleashed about 20 years ago and thinking, man, I wonder where moto games are going to go from here. But I don't think even I would have thought that 20 years after playing Keweni Falls in MX vs. ATV Unleashed, I'd be playing it again now in MX Bikes. Shout out to DrNoClout. This is $1 over on the MX Bike Shop store, and you guys can go check out Keweni Falls from MX vs. ATV Unleashed by yourself, no problem, and play it in MX Bikes these days. That is really cool. A fun crossover video here that we're going to do today, so let's jump in and talk about it, shall we? All right, so we're going to start off by playing a couple quick laps here on the MX vs. ATV Unleashed version of Keweni Falls, and then we'll jump over and play the bikes version just so you get a reference point, a starting point of what it is that we're actually looking at. Like I said, this track was built in MX vs. ATV Unleashed, which is now almost 20 years ago at this point, which is crazy to think about. So, I mean, technically it was probably built even longer ago than that because obviously they had to have it ready to go for when the game launched. But yeah, this is truly like one of those iconic tracks that the second I saw it uploaded to MX Bikes, I knew exactly what the track looked like. It totally brought me right back. I remember where it went and everything like that. So even when I played the bikes version and did a couple laps to start with, I almost kind of nailed everything first lap because I was just like, yeah, this here and this, that. There are a couple things different, which is why I wanted to start off with showing you the Unleashed version today. Because when we go and jump over to the MX Bikes version, if I didn't play this first, you would probably have no reference point. You wouldn't realize that the versions were slightly different. But DrNoClout on the MX Bike Shop post even says that there's, some things different that he kind of forgot about or like wish he would have changed up a little bit. So, but it's no big deal. Like, I think that, even if you go back and recreate a track like this and get it close or get a couple things wrong or even take your own creative interpretive twist on it, I think that that's kind of, in a way, almost more fun than just an exact replica of something. Because while this track was fun and really cool, like, could there have been a couple things that'd be a little bit more fun about it? Sure, yeah. I think that, with time, someone can go back and look at this track and be like, oh, maybe it shouldn't have been so many 90s, or maybe it should have gone out off the map pad just a little bit instead of just being like, it really is kind of just a square with like a waterfall in the middle of it that the track is built around. So, like, that in and of itself could be a little bit different, in my opinion. And so I don't really mind that there's a couple things different, a couple rhythm sections that are slightly longer. It's honestly actually kind of funny when we play the bikes version how similar some of the bumps he even has on the track are, like the way that the whoops are through here and the uphill that we went up a couple turns ago, how similar he was able to get the bumps to that, and then just like a couple of the rhythm sections are a little bit off. But that's, like I said, that's okay. So here is the Unleashed version of the track. And give you guys a quick reference point here. We'll finish off this lap, and then we'll jump over to MX Bikes and really dig in on that track and see if we can not only do some of the same lines that I'm doing on this version of the track, but also, what other fun stuff we can get up to. So let's jump over to MX Bikes. Over to the MX Bikes version we go, and I'm going to do a couple of third-person laps to start this off here just because, I mean, look, we all probably played third person in Unleashed. If you played first person, you're probably insane. Not that the first person camera was all that bad, but I think just it's such an arcade type of game that you really couldn't get immersed in it that much. Whereas obviously MX Bikes is designed to be more of a simulator, so it's kind of designed to play in first person and not third person. But just for ease of being able to see both tracks, both games, how they look in both games to start off, we'll do a couple third-person laps, and then I'll do probably 2 or 3 first-person laps as well to wrap up here. So you can already tell in this rhythm section, for example, I think he added like 1 extra jump, but they're all a lot further apart than the version on Unleashed, and I think that's almost by design because you get going so fast in that rhythm section that on bikes, like if you just made it as small as it is on Unleashed, you'd probably just jump deep into the rhythm section, like 2 jump it or something stupid like that. So I'm kind of okay with that creative direction, if you will. And then, yeah, for some of this stuff down here, obviously that jumps a little bit bigger than it was on the Unleashed version. Going through here, you got a little step up here, was again a little bit, I feel like more of a step up as opposed to like a double. And then here's where it's different. So this is the same triple and all that, but then there's like 3 extra jumps here. I feel like there's no, it's supposed to be just a double out right there, but there's like 3 extra jumps, and then here it's actually much more intuitive to go triple double, which you can kind of do over the hill in the Unleashed version. I guess just the general consensus is that the elevation change in the Unleashed version is a little bit more apparent than this one, but this is still, a lot of elevation change. It's just not as, I guess, as large is the way to describe it as the Unleashed version. There's a lot more large berms and ups and downs and all that kind of stuff, whereas for the most part, this track, except for like one uphill, is basically on the flat. Like even this corner up here, and I just feel like a piece of garbage picking it apart this much because I love this track, but even this corner up here goes more up into the hill on the Unleashed version, whereas this one stays kind of flat. It goes up a little bit and then it just comes down a little bit, but that's just so nitpicky. Like, that's so unfair to like be critical about that, because again, it's not like he had the height map for it. He was just building it off of playing it in Unleashed and then not porting again, just trying to copy it over to some degree into bikes. And I think he generally got pretty darn close. So I don't knock him too much at all for, a little bit being different with the elevation or a rhythm section here or whatever. The fact that it's even in MX bikes in the first place and is playable is pretty awesome. And look, for those of you people out there that don't like spending money on paid mods or tracks or anything like that, this is only $1. I think that's a pretty fair price for the amount of work that goes into recreating something like this. As much as I love the creators who do free tracks and stuff like that, there's a lot of modeling that was obviously done for this one as well. Like, you can see all the different bridges and, flames and textures and different things like that he had to go in and do to build this track. So that's not easy. That kind of stuff takes a lot of time, a lot of work in Blender. And it's more than just, Photoshop laying down a track and putting down some decals and stuff like that. It is some serious time and effort going into it. So, we certainly appreciate that he even did it in the first place. And I think, like I said, $1 is a pretty fair price. All right, so now that we've done a couple laps here in third person, and I'm thoroughly over that, let's go into our trusty first person view and see if we can't put down a little bit more of some heat. First person for me at this point in MX bikes is very much just like, it's comfortable. I know how to go fast in it. I'm much more crashy, I guess, than in third person somehow, because I still don't, I'm not very good at not knowing where the rear end of the bike is. So third person allows me to kind of see the rear end of the bike and react to that a little bit better. But first person, you just feel like you're absolutely hooking up, going so fast everywhere. I should have gone off of this right side ramp on the Unleashed version, but this is what it looks like here. And again, like, this was whoops right here through this section in the Unleashed version, but he just made it rollers there, which again, it's totally fine. I think that's a fair creative decision. It's kind of tough in this game to jump and land in whoops in MX bikes. Like, it is a very skill dependent kind of thing to be able to do. So again, not including it, not that big of a deal to me. I think it's totally makes it even more fun and playable in that regard. And to the point of, people not wanting to spend money, especially on like the Supercross tracks, which are really difficult. This track to me is pretty easy. As I say that, I of course crash. But there's not a whole lot going on here. There's not a lot of really big braking bumps. There's just some really flowy, natural feeling sections and a couple big jumps as well to be able to kick out a whip or two off of and have some fun there. Maybe the toughest part is this dang whoop section, man, because he kind of built it a little bit gnarly through there. Like, you got to be on it. Really, you just need to kind of lean back and go through it pretty straight, but you do have to be cooking a little bit for sure. Oh, I guess you could triple that right there. I haven't really played with the different options available in these rhythm sections. It kind of feels like there's more or less one main line to go through, almost all the way around the track. Like, even down this back straightaway here, for example. We're going to come a little short that. But this back straightaway where is in the Unleashed version, you would come down off of this little step down into this valley, and then you can quad this and then launch off of this thing up to the finish line, which I tried to show you guys. It's pretty much impossible unless you're using the free ride OEMs. I guess maybe you could be going fast enough, but traction on the stock OEMs are not really very good off of landings, so you would not be tracking forward very well enough to be able to get that line, I feel like. I mean, maybe you could do it from off track pretty easily, but trying to do it from on track is certainly difficult. So yeah, pretty cool stuff for sure. I like that he even modeled real waterfalls, going up and down. It's not just a blank water texture. It would have been cool if the water down below had some splash effects to it, because it doesn't look like it does when you go through it. But that's okay. Again, like it's, you know, there's a lot of intricate stuff about MX bikes and working on tracks like these that people don't really understand, and how much detail and work goes into it. So even getting, you know, the files right for like the flames and stuff is pretty cool. And yeah, all the modeling that he did for all the structures around the track as well, very impressive. Like he could have, in a way, he could have mailed this in a little bit and just built the track, and people still would have been pretty stoked. But the fact that he went to the level to recreate all the different structures and bridges and the water effects and all of those things, tie it together so much nicer than just a straight up recreation of the track. And so I like that. You know, like I said, I think, you know, if people are going to be annoyed about, oh, another paid mod track or whatever, well, you know, think of all the things that he added to this that he could have just easily left out. And maybe that makes it worth it to you guys to be able to download it and use it. I kind of hope that this is one of those tracks that, and I almost wish that this was a thing as well. To me, this is more of a fantasy track than a real track. Is it semi-realistic? Yes, but it's not the most realistic track out there for sure. Like, there's much more real feeling tracks. I kind of think it'd be cool if there was an MX bike series, because there's a ton of series, and you know, there's Supercross and Enduro, and there's gonna be local cross soon, and all this stuff like that. I wish there were series in MX bikes that were just like fantasy tracks, you know, just off the wall tracks. They're not real. They don't have to feel real. They can even be like really, really outlandish types of tracks. I'm trying to think of ones off the top of my head, but I generally am having a brain fart. But it you know, takes me back to MX Simulator when this guy Wolf FMX or Wolf MX or whatever you want to call him used to create these tracks that were like jumping over a volcano. He made a Dragon Ball Z track. He made like you go under lava track as well. I can't remember the name of that one. He made a Rainbow Road track. Yeah, someone made Rainbow Road in MX bikes too, didn't they? Like that'd be kind of a fun series to have and get like top pros like you know, Linz and Chase and all those guys that are really good at the game together, Brado, and just do like a fantasy series where it's like it's so not realistic in any representation of the game, but that's the fun part about it, right? And like maybe even they can run like outlandish neon skins or something even more fake than what they you know, run already or something like that. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys think that's a cool idea or not. Maybe it's something that through some of the powers that I have, I could, you know, try to work on pulling something like that together. Maybe that's a race series I get involved in hosting or something like that. Either way, this is Keweni Falls by DrNoClout, the remake from MX vs. ATV Unleashed here in MX Bikes. What an awesome throwback. What a really cool trip down memory lane that DrNoClout has brought us today. And one of those things that it just makes me generally excited every time to load up MX Bikes and see what the community has come up with next. Awesome stuff. Appreciate what he's done here, and hopefully you guys will go check out this track, support the creator, and he can maybe come back and bring us some more goodies from Unleashed and all those other old games as well. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now. If you liked that video, be sure to subscribe to the channel for much more motocross gaming content.